I've got friendships now from parents and the kids that we've served, and it's really exciting because the event at IMS, people got to meet our recipient in person, and she's absolutely sweet. And to hear her mom talk about her daughter cracked open, right? She talked about all of a sudden all this creativity, all this leadership was coming out of this 12-year-old that she had no idea this girl was capable of.
Today on the podcast, we had Mark Ostrom on for a brief 20-minute podcast, and it was really fun. We just talked about our upcoming event on May 29th, 5:30 to 7:30. It's called Pairings, basically pairing people, food design, purpose and play, people and passion, all for the betterment of children in our community. If you're interested, please stay tuned, and please check out the joycollaborative.org events pairing. Welcome to Curious Builder Podcast. Today is Thursday, your Q&A, and we're going to switch it up a little bit. Today, I've got Mark Ostrom in studio with the Joy Collaborative. You may have heard him on episode 34. Mark owns and operates a charitable nonprofit in Minnesota that helps children with life-limiting disabilities throughout the state of Minnesota and beyond through design and through building. It's an amazing thing to be a part of. And so last year, Mark Williams Custom Homes, we decided to do an event with you, Mark. And that was amazing. We did it at one of our homes on Medicine Lake. For those that are interested, you guys can check out our social channels. We did this really cool paint experiment that was like very vibrant. We got to hear you and several other of your recipients, speak about how the Joy Collaborative has helped their lives. And so this is going to be part of our ongoing way to help here locally. And not only do I believe personally in what you're doing, but so does the community and so do our homeowners. So basically once a year, we partner on doing an event with our building company and your company to try to host an event. And it's going to be May 29th from 5:30 to 7:30. All the details can be found at joycollaborative.org. We'll have that all in the show notes as well as again at the end. That's joycollaborative.org. And the and you're going to go under events and you'll see this is called Pairings. And then Mark's going to tell us why it's called Pairings. But really, in short, we get to hear Mark speak a little bit about their mission. We're going to have Jaden and his mom there as well, who's received some benefit of our local community through design and helping him with. Is Jaden a female or a male? Male. Okay. To help Jaden, just kind of his experiences as a kid, seeing the community turn out for him. And we're just going to have a great evening. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how we came up with Pairings? I can speak a little bit about the home that our clients were, generous enough to let us tour their home for this. But let's talk a little bit about it. Let's educate the local community, and we'll keep this to about 20 minutes.
Yep. So Joy Collaborative is a group of designers, architects, builders who come together to help those who may be short of means, who have some functional issues that we can address. But the concept of pairings really came from you, Mark, because we paired up last year. We had a really fun event. We were trying to figure out, okay, what are the meaningful connections that Joy Collaborative manifests? And that is how people come together. So it's who can we bring to the literal table to meet each other, to talk about what we're doing for people who may not have the ability to help themselves. So Mark, you can talk more about what we've got lined up as far as what the pairing activities are, but I think it's going to be there's a lot of mystery involved in this event, but I'm excited about how it's
I loved it. I mean, you have it on the website too. It's like food and design, purpose and play, people and passion. And I think it's very creative. You're a very creative person, just, this pairings. And I think in our community, one thing that resonates so strongly with me personally in having gotten to know you over the last couple of years and just hearing more about your mission, and not only whether you have children or don't have children, we can all relate in some ways to how do we give back. I was actually just mentioning to you recently, and everyone feels differently about how this. I can only just speak for myself. Sometimes, I read the paper every day and I hear about and I see some of these atrocities all across the country, across the world. And I feel like, what is little old Mark Williams going to do? How do I help? I just feel in some ways so powerless. And I don't know if this is a common message that you hear from people that work with you or not, but I feel like in Minnesota, in my city, in my community, in people that I know, that I can help in probably a more meaningful way through time, through donations, through financial support, through support like this, just promoting it in a way that I can't do that. I'm not putting any shade on those that feel called to do stuff overseas. Like, I applaud that. I'll support it. For me, I feel like I need to do something that I can see, touch, and feel locally here. And you can do more than one thing. You don't have to just do one or the other. And so I just feel like personally, like now, I think I told you in that interview, the first time I interviewed you, I sort of felt like I wanted to quit my job can just come work for you.
We'll get there, Mark. We'll get there.
And it's a very powerful thing that you're doing for young families. And having last year, John and Leo were kind enough to let us tour their home, and it was an incredible home. I think we had 50, 60 people show up. We had a number of people, I was really blown away at how many of our trade partners, our painters, our cabinet shop, our lumberyard, people that came to the plate and said, we would love to not only come, but we would like to support and be a sponsor as well. And so it was pretty overwhelming just to see people churn up for this concept of you trying to help somebody, and to see it in action is really powerful. And as we create these events, I know you get to do 12 of these a year. I get to do one a year. And so you save it all up. We design, we talk, and we're thinking about what we're going to do. And we thought, well, it's fun to get people into a really beautiful home that we built. So our homeowners, Mark and Carrie, were very kind enough to let us, tour their home. It's absolutely a stunning home. And they're like, hey, if we can do a home tour, we can do some wine pairings. I know we've got the St. Supri Estates Vineyards donating wine. We've got Marcus Hansen. Tell us about Marcus Hansen. He's what he's called the minister of wine. He sings concerto, or what I've seen videos of him singing while he's distributing wine. Tell me about this guy.
That's him. Marcus is a great character. And I want to circle back a little bit to what you were just talking about, the pairings concept. And what I find, I still am overwhelmed. Seriously, Mark, whenever it happens, I'll have a contractor come up to me during or after a project and look me in the eye and say, thank you. And I'm like, what? Wait, we wouldn't be here if you hadn't said, yeah. So what is this thank you business? Well, the fact that you can look the person in the eye that you're serving is really meaningful, because you kind of get an understanding of maybe where they're at and where they're headed, and to see the after and to see the reaction of them, the brother, sister, parent, teacher. It's just, this ripple effect is really profound. So that there's a depth of meaning that happens in those pairings. And that's the beautiful part of what we see manifest.
Well, and I like it. My shout out to my aunt Holly. She came and she was really moved by what was said. And I think she took you aside later and said, I would like to help. And I feel like one of the things that we want to do, I mean, just showing up is already all people need to do. But if you can't make it, there's a way to do it. And money does matter. I mean, one of the things, as someone who's known you for a long time and in a business group with you, is running a nonprofit is that there's no profit in it. And it's a rough business, and kudos to you. So what can we do to help with the mission? And how do we grow that mission? The Joymobile will be there, which is incredible. Tell those that aren't familiar with it, what is the Joymobile, which is literally just this amazing thing.
Mark, I should have my own notepad over here, because now I got to talk about Marcus, the wine guy. So let's talk about Marcus, the wine guy. So Marcus is in our C9 group, and I saw a LinkedIn post that somebody had presented at one of their groups. I'm like, what are you guys having wine for breakfast? I want to know about this group. And so reached out through our connection and met with Marcus, and he is just this big hearted personality. I mean, just the loveliest person. And we find out that we were both music majors early on in school, which was really fun to hear. And he has toured the world with an a cappella group, which turned into an opera thing. So he's been an opera performer for a long time, but it wasn't really filling his bucket. And what he realized is he's great at hospitality, and he really loved wine. So now he's part of a small consortium. They bring in these exotic and wonderful wines from literally all over the world. This time we're lucky enough to get focused on the Napa Valley. St. Supri is top performer. I mean, I was looking at their ratings online, and it was just off the charts. So we will have a great pairing when it comes to the wine. So I'm excited for everybody to have that and to listen to Marcus give us a little information about wine. I don't drink these wines all the time, so it'd be fun to be there, and we'll match the food to the wine. So another pairing will be happening there. Bringing Jaden in, one of our recipients, and talk about the people in the room who participated to get him an amazing space. But you were asking about the Joymobile and what's happened there. So the Joymobile came about because we were working with a lot of institutions, schools in particular, that were servicing those with autism and those with neurodiverse conditions. And it became very clear that they didn't have real estate. Their request was, we want space. Well, that countered against reality, which we don't have space to give up. So we're on the fly, we're what about a mobile unit? There's mobile book libraries. Maybe we could have mobile sensory room. And he's like, I don't know what that is, but let's try it. So we launched it a year and a half ago, a very rudimentary version of it, along with my partner, Tony. He had a son with autism and was 19 and nonverbal, who had a very profound experience just in a very rough version of the Joymobile. And in short order, we were invited to the Minnesota State Fair last year, which was really exciting to the board until I told them how many volunteers it took. So if you're interested in pairing, we need your help because we needed 192 volunteers last year.
Wow. Maybe we should have a sign up.
We do.
Yeah.
We have that. Call me, whatever. We'll take you on.
Yeah.
But it was the hardest thing we've ever done to date. The planning for the Minnesota State Fair and the requirements that we needed to meet, and just not having done an event of that scale. We had done large events, but nothing to 2 million visitors, right, in 12 days. But it was also the most profound and rewarding thing that we've done to date outside of our Joy Room physical projects, because we saw people who were toddlers and we saw people in their 80s all benefiting from 5 minutes in this acoustically sound. You've been in their space where people could just recenter in a very loud space. We were right by the DNR. I mean, the traffic could not have been more intense, especially on the Fridays and Saturdays. But to see people benefiting in a very short period of time has been really amazing. And the goal actually of the Joymobile was not to have it be a single vehicle. So we are moving forward, talking to potential partners about creating a franchise. And when you talk about the stress of being a nonprofit, when I started this, I had a little bit of nonprofit experience, but I'm like, this model's kind of stupid. Like, you're fundraising all the time. And I'm like, there's other ways of bringing money in the door. So are there things that we could do to generate revenue for ourselves? So that's the concept of the Joymobile. We're not going to build them and sell them because then we've lost all control of our brand and the experience. But turning into a franchise seems like a really smart move. So one of our big, hairy, audacious goals is in 3 years to see one in every state.
Oh, that's
50
amazing.
Joymobiles.
Can you get more locally? I mean, like a fleet of them here? Or is it really the operation of people that also becomes difficult?
Right. So we're talking to some community organizers, business development, as well as potential investors around creating jobs locally. So the Joymobile fleet then would be created here in Minnesota and then dispersed to wherever the need is.
This episode of The Curious Builder is brought to you by Olive & Vine Socials. If you're a builder, a designer, or an architect looking to grow your brand without dancing on TikTok or spending your whole life on social media, listen up. Olive & Vine Socials specializes in Pinterest marketing, blogging, and email strategy for luxury home brands. They help you turn your beautiful work into a strategic SEO-driven content that drives real traffic and connects you with your ideal clients without burning you out. Ready to grow smarter and not harder? Visit oliveandvinesocials.com and tell them the Curious Builder sent you. Just so you know, I've been working with Alyssa over at Olive & Vine for 3 years. She helped us launch the podcast. She's helped us grow our brand at Mark Williams Custom Homes. I could not do what I've done without her help. And I'm more than happy to announce that she's our latest sponsor for the Curious Builder podcast.
Lake Society magazine is Minneapolis' premier target market boutique lifestyle and design publication. It embodies the unique lifestyles and design of the Minneapolis City Lakes neighborhoods. From Lake of the Isles to Lake Harriet, it showcases the best in local design projects by both premier builders, architects, and interior designers in this area. Lake Society magazine has the look and feel of a national publication with glossy covers, high-end finishes. It's mailed directly to upper bracket single-family homeowners in the City Lakes area, and it's the perfect local coffee tabletop publication. Subscriptions can also be available through the website lakesocietymagazine.com. Additionally, publisher and founder Karen Steckel has over 27 years in the local magazine publishing industry and has a passion for high-end photography and quality graphics. Her commitment to quality, visual simplicity, and beauty are strongly reflected in her beautiful Lake Society magazine.
The need is obviously so great. One of the things that was so interesting is just being a builder, and our audience mostly being somehow in the construction, design, architecture field, is knowing that we build homes for people or remodel. And we speak all the time on the podcast that it shouldn't be lost that most people can remember the address of the home that they grew up in. Do you remember your address of the home you grew up in?
2126 North Upland Crest.
There you go. 1535 Bavarian Shores Drive. Most people remember their address of their home. And the reason I've been bringing that up lately on the podcast, and most people know, it's just that it has such a profound impact, your home. And your intro the other night, we got to hear you speak a little bit at a Powerhouse Smart event here at IMS. And it was, how did your intro go? It was really funny. It was basically like, if your child is, has a disability, what's the first thing that you think of? And it's kind of a joke. It's a lead in. And most people are like safety or health. And you're like, it's probably not remodeling your home. But like remodeling your space so that it fits your children's needs and helps them have a more full and a more able life, to take away some of those disabilities, is a really empowering experience. And so to see that on the website, to hear people like Jaden and their mother, equal parts, the child gets to share their experience. But as most of the donors here will likely be parents, it's really, a lot of it is through the viewpoint of an adult. If your son or daughter has or has had something like that, how do you connect with that parent? And that feeling of connection, that pairing, is super powerful.
Yeah, I've got friendships now from parents and the kids that we've served. And it's really exciting because the event at IMS, people got to meet our recipient in person, and she's absolutely sweet. And to hear her mom talk about her daughter cracked open, right? She talked about all of a sudden all this creativity, all this leadership was coming out of this 12-year-old that she had no idea this girl was capable of. It was just blowing her mom away. Pretty cool stuff. But it's really, to your point, Mark, it's really about removing barriers. And that's step one. It's like, okay, we're going to bring a high level of design to remove barriers. Well, okay, but then what? Like, what's the point of that? The point of that is to allow you to thrive, like to imagine a different reality for yourself that you might not have imagined prior. And it's really exciting. We started, I've just got some news from last week. So we started Joy Collaborative through the lens of children, primarily those who we knew, didn't have any power. But unfortunately, when it comes to grant writing, nobody's going to fund an individual family home, an organization. That's typically not what is going to happen. At the same time, we've been invited to clinics, dental offices, very large facilities, asking us to do the same thing that we've done for individual families. And that is ridiculously exciting to me, to be able to serve on a wider scale. We'll continue to work on a full spectrum of people. But we did change our mission statement, and we tweaked it from empowering youth with life-limiting conditions to empowering those with life-limiting conditions. And that minor shift opens up an incredible amount of possibilities for us.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're young and you have the privilege of getting old, you still have that same disability, most likely, depending on what it is.
Yep.
I've been lucky enough to been blessed. I've got 3 Down syndrome cousins and an uncle, and seeing that the joy that they've brought to our family and the memories that I have, and I can only speak from my own experience, obviously, in this case, but it's like when you have children, and I can only, as you're having children, this thought goes through your mind, like, what if one of my children have a disability? And I remember when I had that thought for the first time, I started smiling, because I think of, like, just in our story, and Uncle Stevie, he was 55 when he passed. He lived 3 times longer than they said he was going to live. They said he was going to live into his teens. And in fact, what the joke was, he outlived 3 of his cardiologists. So the joke was, don't be Stevie's cardiologist. That's a death sentence. Awesome. But the stories and the joy and the way that it can touch, it's incredible.
Yeah, where we're at now is nowhere near where I thought we were going to be 3 years ago. I mean, the leaps forward have been really fantastic. But it's really about, to your point, Mark, it's, if I am that parent or caregiver or teacher, like, what do you want for that person? You don't want them to keep in status quo. Nobody wants that for anybody. You want them to advance. And if we zoom out even further, it's like, as a community, how do we want to see those people? Are we still putting them in institutions and just shuffling them away and wishing the best for them? That's not really where we're at anymore. Where we're at anymore is capitalizing on the skills and gifts that they do have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent there. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people, it's a little bit like, I forget what plant it is, but the bigger the pot, the bigger the tree will grow. The smaller the pot, the smaller it stays. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true of people. If you put people in a box, they'll stay in the box. But if you give people unlimited potential, they have unlimited potential. And I think that's really what Joy Collaborative is doing, not only for the children and for those that are adults as well, but also their families.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm encouraging everybody, this event that we're doing together, Mark. Jaden is coming, and Jaden is a 15-year-old boy with pretty advanced autism. He has emotional dysregulation issues. He's got physical control issues. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate. And he's in a family with a single mom and 2 other siblings that also have special needs. So you can imagine, from the parent perspective, the balancing that has to go on and the patience that is needed and not always available. Create a space for him that really is supportive of his needs. And on day one, we're hanging out with him and he looks over his shoulder. I was showing him, he called himself very organized, which we all laughed about because everything was on a pile on the floor, but they were separate piles of things. But I'm talking like you'd hurt yourself just trying to get over. And so we showed him this amazing storage system that was in his space. And he looks over at his mom and he's like, I've got so much swag in this room. So he was so excited about, now I have control. I can see how I can manifest my days, my storage, my tennis shoe collection, like all these things that were in piles before. And for kids with autism, anybody with autism, change is really hard and disruption is really hard. So if you're trying to find stuff in a pile of junk, that's very frustrating for somebody with that condition. So now if we have a thing where he can be fully organized, I mean, it's just awesome. So he's going to be there. His mom is just as sweet as can be. And she'll tell her story too of kind of her family dynamic and what Joy has been able to help them with.
So I imagine there's a number of things that can happen here. One is you can attend this event, the Pairings event with us, and you can hear the story firsthand. You can meet other people in the community. You can tour a home. You can hear Marcus wax us in poetically over the different kinds of wines. There's so many reasons to come out to this. But the main one shouldn't be lost is just helping the Joy Collaborative and its mission. And again, just to keep this short, and we could talk for 2 hours again, I'd encourage people to go back and listen to episode 34 where we talk about the whole Joy Collaborative. But, it's really for a couple hours to take time out of your day to support your mission, to support children and their families, to donate, or we'll have auction items there as well, I believe. Yeah. If you can't make it, all of this will still be available online at thejoycollaborative.org under events and pairings. And then if you're looking to be a sponsor, we obviously would very much depend on that. And our goal, I think this year is to try to raise $20,000. Is that right?
Yep.
So last year we didn't set out, I don't think very clearly what the goal was. And I think we ended up netting close to what, 9 or 10,000, which is still great. I mean, it was very, very helpful. Every dollar helps. But I think understanding, like if you tell people what the goal is, you can either meet it or, exceed it would be great. And then understanding that these funds are going to help people in their home. So not only does it help with the Joy Collaborative's messaging, but it also is going towards specific projects. And I think we talked about this previously, that if we donate funds to a specific project, sometimes it handcuffs a little bit what Joy Collaborative can do. Or if it goes to the general mission, there's more you can do with it. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yep. So we'll be talking about upcoming projects so people can understand where things are actually going. If we're talking to a couple other nonprofits now and trying to get some of their executive directors there so you could actually meet these people and understand, like, again, to my point of pairings, meet these people, understand what they're up against. And in today's turmoil, right, consumer confidence is dropping. We know all the reasons why. So it's going to be rough for nonprofits over the next couple of years. So if you're able to your point, Mark, like every dollar helps. And I say that all the time. It doesn't matter what our fundraising goal is. Oh, it's great for aspirations. Everything matters because our work is so important and it's making such a difference for these individuals and for these organizations too.
And I would challenge is to bring somebody with you. That would be my ask from Mark Williams Custom Homes to you is if you're going to come, thank you for doing that. But if you really want to double down, bring somebody with you. Not only but it's that the message that this exists, I think when you see it and touch it and feel it. And I was really humbled because we invite our past clients and the clients we're working with. And I had several clients, not only obviously the ones that donated their house for a couple hours, but the people that came that we were remodeling a house for, and just, they had young children. And like right now, 5:30 to 7:30 is prime dinner time, bedtime, bath time. Like it's hard for young families to get out at that time. And to see that they got a sitter to come out to support that was super humbling. And anyway, it's a way to get very involved in your community in a very micro level, which is needed.
And I started the business because I saw a gap between Make-A-Wish, like temporary experiences, and Habitat for Humanity that's building the whole house, whatever. And that's great. But we've got people who are living with conditions that are lifelong. So what can we do that helps them on a permanent basis through the beauty of design and architecture design to get them to a better place? And yes, to be in our space, we had somebody come to our last event and said, man, if you could bottle the energy in this room. And I'm like, I don't even know how it happens, Mark, but the energy is great. And if you come away feeling with your shoulders slumped forward, we've failed.
Because, I just had an additional idea is that we'll contact everyone that came to the first one and ask them to bring a friend. I'll be sending this podcast episode to everyone that will listen, including all the past attendees. Thank you for your support. Thank you for coming. Please come again.
Let's blow the roof off this home, Mark.
All right.
Give
Thanks.
you more work.
Thanks for coming in, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for tuning in to the Curious Builder podcast. If you like this episode, do us a favor, share it with 3 other business owners. The best way that we can spread what we're doing is by word of mouth, and with your help, we can continue to help other curious builders expand their business. Please share it with your friends, like and review online, and thanks again for tuning in.